Hi, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started in a few minutes. Thank you everyone for being here to learn all about Georgia Tech this evening. We'll get started really soon. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Thank you all for being here. My name is Annie Fortnow, and I'm the engagement manager at JumpSpark, the Jewish Teen Initiative here in Atlanta. And I'm excited to welcome you to our virtual college road trip. JumpSpark drives innovative teen programming out of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, and we are one of 10 communities that comprise the Jewish Teen Education and Engagement Funder Collaborative. Spring 2020 marked our very first virtual college road trip. The positive response and active participation exceeded our expectations. We're excited that you have joined us for our second annual month-long journey offering student-led virtual campus tours, information sessions with college admissions staff, and on-site Hillel professionals with real insights on Jewish campus life, webinars, workshops, and more. New college tours and information sessions are being held throughout the month of June. So follow us on social media at JumpSparkATL on Instagram and Facebook, and our website roadtriptocollege.org to sign up for more info sessions to create your own personal road trip. We're excited to start tonight our session with Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech Hillel. We have Andrew Cohen here from Admissions, the Associate Director of Guest Experience, Shayna Lubliner from Hillel, and then we have two students, Lily Schneider and Jared Rakusin, who will be sharing about their experiences as well. So if you're ready, Andrew and Lily, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Annie, and thank you all for joining us today. As Annie said, my name is Andrew Cohen. I serve as the Associate Director for Guest Experience at Georgia Tech's Office of Undergraduate Admission, and really excited to be here today to talk about admission in Georgia Tech, but also to be joined by my colleagues in Hillel. I am a former president, a student body president of Hillel at my alma mater, as well as I'm on the board of directors of that Hillel. So Hillel definitely has a special place in my heart and Jewish life on campus in general. So excited to be here with you. Before we jump in, Lily, do you want to introduce yourself now?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Lily. I'm a tour guide at Georgia Tech, which is why I'm super excited to be here today. I'm a rising senior majoring in chemical engineering and minoring in public policy. So hopefully I'll be able to share some of our engineering and then some of our more liberal arts options here at Georgia Tech.
Thank you, Lily. It's still weird to say that you're a rising senior at this
point.
I know. Awesome. So I think just to kind of get started, I think it's important to talk a little bit about who we are as an institution and also who we are not. Here at Georgia Tech, we have a motto that we really live by in the day-to-day life on campus. And our motto is progress and service. And really what this means to us is how can we, as a community and a campus, really improve the world around us, improve the human condition? Our students, our faculty, our staff, we're not just asking the questions of why is this a problem, but we're asking that follow-up of how can we make this better? How can we improve the lives of our community members? And I always like to start with that because I hope as you're listening, that's something that hopefully resonates with you because our motto is something that we really do live by. I think it's something that if you ask almost all Georgia Tech community members, they probably know it. Unlike other institutions that might have a motto that's in Latin, for example. But there are countless examples of ways that we really exemplify this motto of progress and service, and really more so the past year and a half than ever before. things like the response that we've had on campus to COVID-19. A great example of that is our surveillance testing program that really helped us keep our community safe throughout COVID when we were on campus this past year. And so utilizing some of the resources on campus really helped us and resources and scientists on campus to really help develop a program to keep the community safe. So that's just one example, but I could do a whole presentation on that and how progress and service kind of is seen in the work that we do on campus. But we'll kind of dive right in and talk a little bit about academics. And so you'll see a ton of numbers on the screen, and kind of to break them down a little bit, we'll kind of talk a little bit about each of them, and then I'll turn it over to Lily to share a little bit more about what her experience is like with kind of academics on campus. For having 16,000 undergraduate students, that's quite large, not as large as some other institutions, but definitely larger than what you would think of a medium-sized institution. But it's kind of an anomaly for us that we only have 36 majors. We want to make sure that the majors we're offering at Georgia Tech are majors that are going to be relevant in your career, not just when you graduate, but in 20 and 30 years down the road in your career. And again, kind of going back to that idea of progress and service, and making sure that we are providing majors that are needed and relevant in the industry. Those majors are housed in 6 colleges. Many of you probably think of Georgia Tech, you think of our College of Engineering, our College of Computing, our College of Sciences houses our majors like biology and chemistry to math and psychology and neuroscience. We have our Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts, a really cool and unique spin on kind of traditional liberal arts being on a campus like Georgia Tech. We have our Scheller College of Business, and then we have our College of Design, which houses majors like architecture, industrial design, music technology, as well as building construction. So just a few things about some of our majors. And then the last number to highlight before I turn it over to Lily is our retention rate. For the past number of years, our retention rate's been sitting around 97%. We're really proud about that. Our retention rates, if you're not familiar, are calculated by how many students start as a first-year student, take that summer off, and return as a second-year student. So 97%, pretty high. Nationally, only about 25 other institutions have a retention rate that high, and only 6 of them are public institutions, Georgia Tech being one of them. So it's a number we're really proud about, but I think that what's more important when I talk about that number is the type of resources and support that students really have to ensure that they're successful, both inside and outside of the classroom. So I'm going to stop now and I'm going to turn it over to Lily. And Lily, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about what it's like to be a student on Georgia Tech's campus and a little bit about what classes are like, as well as some of that support that has helped keep you continuing to be successful and be a Georgia Tech student.
Yeah, of course. So obviously as a rising senior, I've been here 3 years and I've loved it, or else I wouldn't be back. I like being part of that 97%. So I did start at Georgia Tech as a different major, but because of the great academic support, the advising, all the resources that I had on campus, I was able to decide that that was not actually the major for me. But it was really, really easy for me to change my major. And that's one of the great things about Georgia Tech is they have 36 majors, but they're all super customizable. So when I was in chemistry and I realized that what I wanted to do was more maybe chemical engineering, I was able to try that out, see what they had available. But then within chemical engineering, there are still different routes to go. So I'm on the standard option, but there's also the biotechnology option. And for a lot of majors, there's either a different thread option or a different concentration that you can pick. So even though you are in a specific major, there's so many different things that you can be doing with it. And again, this is all thanks to like all the support we get academically and also like, through our counselors. But for academic support, we have so many different free options on campus. There's one-on-one tutoring, which is completely free. Another student will tutor you, and the student that's the tutor gets paid for it. So that's a great on-campus job. And then also we as students get the benefit for it. We also have office hours hosted by our professors and our teaching assistants at least once a week, where the professor or teaching assistant will go more in depth with you one-on-one or maybe host a smaller class. We also have our recitations, super helpful, which goes along with that 85% number at the bottom there. So even on the classes that do have more than 50 students, we'll have a recitation led by a teaching assistant. So we get some more personalized one-on-one learning opportunity. Just so many different ways that you can take control of your own learning environment and make sure that you're receiving the best care and attention that you need. And I'd love to answer any questions about these more specifically because we just have so many options. I can't even list them all right now, but definitely I feel nurtured at Georgia Tech, but also I have total control over what I'm majoring in, minoring in, taking classes for fun on the side. And it's been a very enjoyable academic career, if I do say so myself.
Great. Thank you, Lily. And also great plug to just remind you that we will have time at the end for Q&A. So if you do have questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we will save them and try and address all of them at the end of the session. Something that else that I think is just as important as those classroom experiences are all of those experiences that you are going to get at Georgia Tech outside of the classroom. Those come in the forms of things like research, as well as co-ops and internships. And then the last piece, although it hasn't been happening as much the past year and a half, I'm definitely looking forward to resuming our study abroad programs. For a school that has many STEM majors, which is typically, nationally, STEM majors, it's a little bit harder to study abroad. We have more than half of our students graduate with some type of international experience. So a really important way to really gain a global outlook on life. Many companies that Georgia Tech students go on to work for are global companies, and having those experiences in college are really important and really fruitful for your career down the road. Internships and co-ops are also really important to participate in. Many of you are probably familiar with an internship. I think of them as some more flexibility. Usually you have a start and an end date, and could be part-time, could be full-time, could be paid, could be for credit. When you think of a co-op, it's a little bit more structured. There are going to be full-time employment opportunities where you're being paid to work at a company, and you'll do that usually over the course of 3 semesters, alternating between coursework and the co-op experience. Really gives you an in-depth experience in an industry. I think of it all the time as being an industrial engineering major. You could be an industrial engineering major in many different industries, and maybe you come to Georgia Tech and are not sure what industry you want to work in as an industrial engineer. And so a few internships might be really helpful, so you're able to kind of understand how an industrial engineer kind of works within that industry. But you could also come to Georgia Tech and know that you want to be an industrial engineer in the airline industry. And so a co-op at Delta would be a great way to give you that more in-depth experience within that industry. But on that note, I'm sorry, I should also research plentiful on campus. Over $1 billion worth of research happening on campus, and our undergraduate students are a crucial aspect of all the research that's happening. But I'm gonna turn it over to Lily again, because she has quite a bit of experience in a number of these things. So Lily, mind sharing a little bit about some of those experiences you've had?
Yeah, of course. So personally, I have taken advantage of research and internships. Sadly, due to COVID, there's not been a lot of study abroad going on, but I do have a lot of friends that are in our France campus right now that are having a ton of fun being able to travel around Europe. So definitely still a lot of options there. Georgia Tech is really special because we have some study abroad programs that are very generic. You can get a lot of prereqs out of the way. You can do a lot of elective classes, but then we also have a lot of study abroad programs that are major specific. So if you're a biomedical engineer, you can go to Galway in Ireland and take biomedical engineering classes and go tour different facilities that they have out there for biomedical engineering facilities. As a chemical engineer, I could go to Korea specifically, I could go to London specifically, just so many things. So you have a great a great list of places that you can go, whether you want to do that after your first year, second year, third year, fourth year, different options for how to get that done over the course of your time at Georgia Tech. But for the ones that I've been a part of personally, so I have really enjoyed my time doing research. I joined a lab in my second semester of my second year, and I did this by just emailing a professor who came to speak to my class, and I thought his research was really, really cool. So I emailed him immediately and was like, do you have any positions? And he said, reach out again in December and I'll let you know. And I've been with them ever since, and it's been super great because that's a great way for me to know what I want to do in the future. So I get that in lab support. I can talk to graduate students and know if I want to go to graduate school, things like that. But there's so many different research opportunities at Georgia Tech, either for pay or for credit. That depends on you and your schedule. And it's for every major, not just science, not just STEM. Any major can do research, which I think is really special. And a lot of Georgia Tech students do take advantage of that. And on top of that, the internship and co-op programs at Georgia Tech are incredible. And we have an amazing career center. We have an online career portal. We have tons of career fairs in person, so many opportunities to get a job. And once you do, Georgia Tech is really supportive in making sure you can maintain being a student and have full amenities on campus while working, or you can be off campus and still maintain being a student and not have to reapply or anything like that. So I was able to have 2 different internships, one last summer and one this summer that I actually just came from right before this. And it's really great for me to be able to decide what I want to do in my future. Like Andrew said, I obviously didn't know what I wanted. I changed my major. I was a little confused, but with the help of my research and now these internships, I've been able to kind of narrow down my path. So even though if you ask me right now what I want to do in the future, I can't tell you with certainty, but I do know that I have a lot of resources and a lot of people that I can talk to help me out along the way.
I think something that you said made me think of something I always like to share about research, and Lily just mentioned kind of having those relationships with the grad students on campus, or at one time upperclassmen, but now she's an upperclassman. But I think that kind of mentorship relationship really exists within our research community on campus, right? Lily at one point sent an email, got involved, and there were plenty of upperclassmen that really helped train her and get her acclimated to the research work. And because students put so much time into this work, they really invest a lot, and they want to make sure that these projects continue to be successful after they graduate. And so now, as an upperclassman, Lily is the one that is really bringing those younger students in under her wings to really train them and get them up and going to make sure that research continues on kind of full force. And so I think that's a really kind of a great cycle that we really see on campus. Also, just to highlight, I think it's important. I know many of you that are logging in might be from the Metro Atlanta area, but if not, I think it's always important to just talk a little bit about Atlanta. We are in the heart of Midtown Atlanta, which really gives us kind of the best of both worlds. We have a beautiful green quad-filled campus, lots of trees on campus, kind of, we like to call it like a little Georgia Tech bubble. You don't really feel like you're in the heart of Atlanta, but you have everything that Atlanta has to offer right at your fingertips. When we think of companies like Delta or Coca-Cola, that's directly across the street from Georgia Tech's campus, to many of those other companies that are headquartered here or have large footprints here, students really get to take advantage of some of those. But as well, right, I can list those names like Home Depot and UPS that are also housed here, but there's tons of smaller companies and companies that you might not be familiar with that are based here, many in Midtown Atlanta, really right by campus in what we kind of call Tech Square. That's kind of where campus intersects with Midtown. And those are some really amazing opportunities that students can take advantage of. But when not kind of working towards career goals, Atlanta also is just a really fun place to get to call your college town. So now we're gonna switch gears a little bit now that you kind of have a little good baseline knowledge of Georgia Tech. I think we all could talk about Georgia Tech for days, so have to kind of keep it short. But want to jump in and talk a little bit about the first year application review process. And before I do that, I always like to define two admission definitions. That is something that really is part of our admission process. And the first is what selective admission means. Here at Georgia Tech, we received this past year 45,000 applications for a class of about 3,400 students. And so that one means that us as admission counselors have a lot of reading to do. We read all of those applications, all of those essays and recommendations, but it does mean that with so many applications, many, if not most of those 45,000 applications are academically qualified and would be successful on campus. We have to make some difficult decisions, and we do that through a holistic application review process. And so what that means is that we are going to take into account all different aspects of your application to really understand how you're fit to Georgia Tech, how you would fit into the Georgia Tech community, and why you want to be at Georgia Tech. So we're going to take into account a number of different things when reviewing your application. And these on the screen now are just some of the factors that we are really going to look at. And so the first thing is academic preparation. This is going to be really one of the most important aspects of the review process. We want to see the types of courses that you've taken. How have you challenged yourself? Kind of, again, the rigor of the coursework that you've taken in high school, and how you've done. We're looking at much more than a GPA, right? With 45,000 applications coming from around the world, everyone calculates a GPA a little differently. And so we're really going to spend a time looking at your transcript, understanding the courses that you've taken. And we're going to look at your transcript alongside what we call your school report or profile. That's basically your high school's resume that really helps provide some context to understand what opportunities were afforded to you within your school. And again, of those opportunities, what have you taken advantage of? Going back to the idea we started with of progress and service, this really comes out in what we call contribution to community. Many schools might say extracurriculars, but really we kind of expand that because it could mean so many different things. The way I think about this is what are you involved in? How are you making an impact in your community? And what type of influence do you have? Kind of 3 I's is the way I think about it. The other way I like to think about this, and it will sound harsh at first, but bear with me, but when you go away to college, who within your community is going to miss you, and how are you going to need to be replaced within your community? Is that you play a specific position on a sports team, and that position is going to have to be filled? Maybe you participate in a Jewish youth group and you serve on in a leadership position, and someone's going to have to fill that position when you go away to college. Or maybe you participate in Shabbat services and your role will have to be filled by someone else. It could be your family community. Maybe you come home after school and you take care of younger siblings while your parents are working. Those are all ways that you're showing contribution to your community, and again, have that impact and influence within your community. This can also come through in your essays. So we will be reviewing kind of that standard Common App essay, as well as a supplemental essay to give a little bit more context of why Georgia Tech, why the major you're applying to. We'll use 2 recommendations, one from a teacher, one from a college counselor, very specifically. Those are the 2 that we're going to look at. Those are not required, although many of our applicants do submit them. But we do ask that it's a teacher who's taught you in a classroom setting. This upcoming admission cycle, we are going to require students to submit either the SAT or ACT as part of the review process. As part of the University System of Georgia, we are required to utilize this in the review process. But as I can say, really the most important pieces is really that course rigor, course selection, and how you've done in a classroom setting. Last piece, we do not offer interviews kind of broadly, but we do allow students who maybe are non-native English speakers to submit a recorded interview, and that's really used for English proficiency to ensure that everyone is able to be an active participant within the Georgia Tech community. Went through these really quick and happy to answer questions more afterwards, but really everything I just covered are all things that are in your control, right? You can decide when you start those essays, who writes those recommendations, what classes you're taking, how much do you study for those exams. This last idea of institutional fit is one you just have to trust us on. It's something that happens at every institution, and really is this idea of helping shape that class that we bring in each year. We want a diverse group of students coming from around the country, around the world, from enrolling in all 36 of our majors. And so these are things that we do take into account when reviewing applications. A great example of that is we are a public institution here in the state of Georgia, and therefore we have a mission to serve our state. And so we'll enroll typically about 60% of our undergraduate population is going to be from the state of Georgia, and then typically 30% from the other 49 states and 10% international. Just before I wrap up, just a few things about kind of application deadlines. We have 2 deadlines for first year admission. We have, or I should say, we have 3 deadlines, 2 application plans. So we have early action and we have regular decision. We review applications exactly the same in both of our application plans. The only difference is going to be that students who apply during early action will be automatically considered for some of our merit-based scholarship programs. And that's really the only difference. From an admission standpoint, we review applications exactly the same. So early action is split in 2. Students from Georgia will be required to submit their application by October 18th. Sounds like a weird date. Typically it's around the 15th, but we don't like to have application deadlines on the weekend or leading into a weekend since we're not in the office to help. So October 18th, and non-Georgia residents is November 1st. If you apply regular decision, all applications would be submitted by January 5th. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up. That was a quick high-level overview of Georgia Tech, as well as the college admission process at Georgia Tech, but happy to save time at the end for more questions regarding Georgia Tech as a whole that Lily and I would be happy to answer, but as well about the college admission process. And on that note, I am going to turn it over to our partners at Hillel.
Thank you so much, Andrew and Lily. You guys, you just make me want to go to college again. Your stories, Lily, really just make me, so excited for all of the future Georgia Tech students and all of the current students and the opportunities you all get on campus. And so I'm here to tell you all a little bit more about Hillel and Jewish life on campus. My name is Shayna, and I'm the engagement associate with Hillel at Georgia Tech. And I'm going to share my screen and show you guys some fun pictures. Do you see the slides? Perfect. So welcome to Hillel at Georgia Tech. Oh, I skipped a slide. Okay, it's back, right? Okay, cool. So we are your home for Jewish life on campus. There are approximately 500 Jews at Georgia Tech, and we aim to provide you all with meaningful Jewish experience. And so how do we do that? We have got a whole bunch of student-led committees. So we want to do programs that the students want to do. So we let students really take the lead and join any one of these committees. We've got programs for specifically first-year students and second-year students, and then of course, upperclassmen and 21 plus. Our Jews with Brews programs are super popular. So Lily, I know you're a senior. I hope to see you this year. We've got an Israel committee, Shabbat and holidays, women's committee, and the Tikkun lawmakers. I'll elaborate a little bit more on that later, but as you can see, we've definitely got a diversity of programs and opportunities for leadership. depending on what way you personally want to connect to Judaism on campus. One of our most popular programs is called Bagel Break. It is from 11 to noon every Tuesday. And what we do is we bring all these bagels to campus and lox and snacks and coffee and juice. And we get a big room and have a bunch of circle tables, and everyone can just talk and schmooze, check in, and just be Jewish together. It is definitely a highlight of every week. And depending on class schedule and midterms and all that, we can have anywhere from 50 to 80 students. So if you see a lady on campus holding 9 dozen bagels, it's me, and I'm going to Bagel Break, and I hope to see you there. So for our first year students, we have an amazing program called First Year Students of Hillel, FISH. So before you even get to campus, we will match you with an upperclassman mentor to help you through your first weeks, your first year, for all your time at Georgia Tech. This is just someone who, can be your friend if you need someone to go to Shabbat with, or you don't know how to work the laundry machine. So definitely, if you end up coming to Georgia Tech, I hope you will sign up for this program, because I think it's an amazing way to just have an instant friend and connection on campus. For Jewish life and learning, we've got programs for every Jewish holiday. Lots of creative things. I know all of our engineers love to build a sukkah, both the real sukkah and candy sukkahs. We've got Shabbat services and meals, as well as high holiday services and meals, Passover Seders, prom party. If there is a holiday, we have got you covered with something fun and exciting to help you connect with your Judaism. And we've also got some interesting learning opportunities for you as well. And one of those most popular programs is the Jewish Learning Fellowship. This is going to be an 8-week seminar program for students. So you'll be meeting with the same cohort every single week. You'll get the chance to have dinner and really get to know each other and explore Torah and different texts and how it relates to you as a college student. And you actually get paid for it as well. So that is a really great opportunity to do some learning and make some friends and make a little money along the way. For Israel, we have got a wonderful Israel fellow. Her name is Illinois, and she is in charge of bringing Israel to campus. She does this through a number of different ways. The most high profile is our Israel Fest. This is for the entire university. We have a big festival right in the middle of Tech Green, the main quad on campus. We bring a camel. It is awesome. Everyone loves it. And we've just got a bunch of different stations and a big party to celebrate Israel as a country and as a culture. So that is always a fest. Yeah, it's a fest. It's always a highlight of the year. And we've also got different opportunities to go to different conferences. We've also got Hebrew Hangout every week, where Illinois teaches conversational Hebrew and, of course, brings some Israeli snacks, because there should always be snacks. And we've got a birthright trip every winter where you can go to Israel for free with your college friends. And Georgia Tech students really love our Onward program, which is where you can travel to Israel for the summer and do an internship actually in Israel. And if you're curious to learn more about that, you can follow us on Instagram, because one of our current Onward students is going to be talking about her experience all day tomorrow. So internships are amazing. Georgia Tech has got you covered, but you can also do an internship in Israel. So if you have any questions about that, Illinois is the person to talk to, and I've got all of our emails at the end. The Tikkun Olam Makers. So I briefly mentioned this in the beginning. This is a really special program that I feel definitely combines Georgia Tech's motto of progress and service with our Jewish value of Tikkun Olam. So what Tikkun Olam Makers is, it matches need knowers, which are people with a disability, to innovation teams from every different major at Georgia Tech to create life-improving innovative solutions. So for whatever reason, these products don't exist yet, and through a 3-day make-a-thon, you can get to help real people create a solution that they truly need. So this is an amazing opportunity to connect with the Atlanta community, the entire Georgia Tech community as well, and just combine a little bit of what you're learning in the classroom with Tikkun Olam. So that is really special and unique. And if all of that wasn't, tickling your fancy quite enough, we have Hillel Hive, which is your opportunity to host any type of program that you would like. And so this was sort of, the genesis of this past year, where small group gatherings were really what got us through the COVID times. So, Hillel Hive, you can go in and request help with getting challah and grape juice and candles, and you can host your own Shabbat in your apartment. We had people host movie watch nights and Taco Tuesday, and really, really creative programs where people brought together their Jewish friends with support from Hillel, and created something that they wanted to have on campus. So that is always an option if we don't have a Hillel program that you are looking for. So that's the end of my little presentation. I'm Shayna again, and the rest of the Georgia Tech team is Sydney and Illinois. We always post on our Instagram what's going on. You can check us out on our website or on Facebook, and we look forward to seeing you on campus. Oh, Jared, you joined. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize.
Hi, no, I joined kind of halfway in the middle, but hello, I'm Jared. I am a third year at Hillel, and I'm sorry I'm a little late because I came from work. But Shannon really hit it off like super well when talking about how much fun Hillel is. And the best part about it, I think, is that you can get involved in whatever way that you want to. Hillel is more than just like a fun place to hang out. It's kind of like a tool to make the most out of your college experience as a Jewish person who goes here. So I hope that all of you guys can get super involved and have a blast and use it as the resource that it is. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. I'm going to ask everyone to come back together. We're going to have a little bit of Q&A right now, and Jared will be able to ask you some questions too, so that we can hear from you as well. I did want to start with a question that we got in the Q&A, a question about early action, if it's binding, like early decisions. I don't know, Andrew, if you'd like to talk a little bit more about early action.
Yeah, and that's a great question, and one of the lingo of college admission that gets really confusing. At Georgia Tech, we only have early action, which is a non-binding application plan. Students that are admitted in early action will have until around May 1st or so. This past year was May 3rd. Again, don't like to have deadlines on weekends. And so around May 1st, students will have to submit a deposit, but we don't want to force anyone to be at Georgia Tech if they don't want to be at Georgia Tech, and therefore we do not have early decision. We do not have any binding application plans.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. And if you have any questions, if you're here on the webinar, feel free to pop them in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and I'll go ahead and ask a couple of questions, and if more come in, that would be great. So I wanted to ask the students, Lily and Jared, if you could talk a little bit about your transition to college and what that experience was like for you, from coming from high school to college and going into the Georgia Tech community. Whoever wants to start us off.
Well, I can hop in really fast. So going from high school to college for me, it was kind of a backward situation than maybe some other people. I know oftentimes it's sort of like super weird at first, which it was for me, it was for everyone. And then you kind of like figure it out later. For me, I think I kind of hit the ground running and then maybe like tripped over myself a little bit later on. So I think the biggest sort of thing when it comes to that transition is just take your time and not set super high and crazy expectations for yourself. I think it seems really foreign to go from high school to college just because you don't really know what to expect. But the school side is probably more familiar than you think it's going to be. So focus more on like the personal side and of like the fun and growth of like being able to go to a new place and move somewhere and not live with family and like learn about taking care of yourself and all these kinds of things. So take it one step at a time, listen to yourself. That's what I would say are important things when it comes to that transition for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree that there's no need to rush anything. And I think that the biggest thing that I learned in that transition was that, yes, the classes are going to be kind of similar and everything, but you do have to hold yourself accountable a lot more. So in college, you make your own schedule. So there's no more school starts at 8, it ends at 3. So it's really up to you. So you have to learn how you like to learn. So what time you like your classes, how big you like your classes, what type of professor you like, and then also managing your time outside of those classes. Like, do you want to join clubs, organizations? Do you want to just work out all the time after class? It's all up to you. Everything you do, what you eat, what you do, what friends you make. So I think going in slowly, like Jared said, and just making sure that you're doing what's best for you and that you're not necessarily joining 100 clubs just because you think you have to. I know, especially in high school, when you're thinking about applying to colleges, you want to have a huge resume. And yes, your resume while you're at college is important, but you're going to want to join things that you actually want to join. So now that I'm a rising senior, I'm in the organizations I love. I love being a tour guide. I love talking about Georgia Tech, and I could talk about it forever. But I wouldn't have known that when I first got here. I was super shy. I would have never done this. So just let yourself, kind of take control of your life, but you don't have to jump in, just like Jared said.
Awesome. Thank you all. My next question is about wellness. So I'm wondering, what does Georgia Tech offer for students in terms of mental health and wellness support? If we want to start maybe with Andrew, if you want to talk a little bit broadly about that, and then Lily and Jared, if you've seen anything. And also I know Hillel has some really awesome wellness supports as well. So hear from all of you.
Yeah, sure. Happy to get started, but definitely want to turn it over to our current students. But obviously, mental health on college campuses is something that is important no matter what school you go to. And most schools have a really robust program, and Georgia Tech definitely has a robust program and resources to keep students healthy and have people to talk to when needed. And so have a robust counseling center, we have a women's resource center, we have an LGBTQIA plus resource center that all kind of housed in the same building. So really you can go into what we call the flag building because there are a lot of flags hanging from the ceiling. And you really kind of are maybe one office or two away from the office that might be the right place to help you the most. Something else I think that is something I really appreciate, kind of over the past few years, we've really increased the number of mental health counselors we have on campus. And one of the strategies was to not keep everyone in one building, but to be across campus where students are. And so over the past few years, we've been able to have counselors within each of our colleges. So kind of some of the main buildings where academic classes are for those colleges, there is a counselor there. And I think that's important to meet students where they are and not always make them come to one building to get all the resources. But I think that also goes back to that 97% and some of those resources, that retention rate, and the resources that Lily mentioned is there are people looking out for students on campus to make sure that they are successful. But I'll turn it over to Lily and Jared if you guys want to share a little bit more about your experience.
I can start real quick with some more of the in-depth resources we have. So like Andrew was talking about, we have a lot of counselors on campus, but one of the best parts that I think that they do for us is they have a care facility and a care assessment. So what that is you can call our counseling center and they will give you a free 30-minute session where they kind of evaluate everything that you feel you want to talk about. So whether that's specifically mental health relating to stress in school, stress outside of school, really anything you want to talk about, they'll just listen for those 30 minutes. They'll ask you some questions and see what's best for you. And then once that call's over, they have a list of different resources that we have. So we have group counseling, we have one-on-one counseling. There are so many options in the city of Atlanta, which is another perk of being here. So there are so many different resources that we have, and they'll point you in the right direction for all of those. So I think that that's a great institution that we have here on campus. And then we also have a lot of student-run organizations that really focus on mental health of students, because we're all in college. We know how hard it is sometimes when you have class life, as we talked about, balancing everything you have on your plate. So one of those that I'd like to highlight is Smile. And they put on tons of different programs. They give you free coffee coupons during finals week, shirts. They try to break a record on Ted Green. I don't remember what it was, Jared, if you do, but tons of cool stuff going on. So just like students looking out for each other, as well as the counselors looking out for you, just so many options here on campus.
Lily pretty much said most of it, but I think if I'll add anything, it's just that part of the Georgia Tech culture, I would say, is everyone knows that you're working hard. And I think that there's a certain kind of like brothers and sisters in arms sort of feeling where it's like, man, we're all going through right now. So let's just, cut ourselves a break. And maybe I've had like study groups where there's been that one person who said, guys, let's just like go get coffee for a second. This is just not working. And we'll just step away and take like 5 minutes to go get coffee at my favorite place, Blue Donkey. That is a very good mental health spot if you want to try it. I love Blue Donkey. Anyway, I think that it's the people that are around here that are, at least from my experience, the ones that have made the biggest impact on my mental health. And for me, a lot of that is the people who are in the Hillel community, including like Shayna and Sydney, and like the resources that they offer in like the emails and just personally that are always available to us. So if you just, live your life and live your truth and are honest when you're not feeling the best or you're going through something, people around you are going to understand and probably be pretty supportive of that. And if not, you can come talk to me. So yeah, anyway.
I wanted to share about one of the resources from Hillel that Jared mentioned. We have a fantastic program called Be Well with Hillel, and it's a collaboration with JF and CS and also the Jewish Federation of Atlanta. And we provide students with private confidential counseling at no cost. So if for whatever reason, the Georgia Tech Center has too long of a wait list, Be Well with Hillel is always there for you. It's another option of someone who you can talk to. And yeah, so that is just another way that Hillel is going to be there for you on campus.
Amazing. It sounds like there are so many great resources on campus, which is really great to hear about. I wanted to ask a question about Greek life. I'm not sure, Jared or Lily, if either of you know very much about this, but wanted to see, are there Jewish fraternities and sororities on campus? What does Greek life look like? If not, I can also throw it to Andrew, who might have more broad answer to that question. Yeah.
I can start with this one. So I am in a social sorority here on campus. There are no Jewish social sororities, but that doesn't mean that there's no Judaism in my sorority. So I do have a group me with all of the other Jewish girls in my sorority. So I'm local. There are a bunch of other girls in my sorority who are local to the Atlanta area who offer their houses for high holidays, drive other people to synagogue, can just get dinner sometimes. They also like promote any of the Hillel events because we do have a lot of our like sorority members that are on boards and things like that. So there are a lot of ways to get involved. We do have a Jewish fraternity. We have API on campus that you can get involved in. But we also have tons of other Greek life here on campus. Greek life here is only about 25% of the student body. So it's not overwhelming. It's not something that you have to participate in any way. And that includes social, fraternities and sororities, but then also pre-professional, cultural, multicultural, things like that. So it's not a huge part of our Georgia Tech campus. I do choose to make it part of my experience here. And even though there are no Jewish sororities, again, you can definitely get involved in Judaism through Greek life here.
Awesome. That seemed like a very great comprehensive answer. So thank you for taking it. For the students, I'm curious, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to current high school students who are going through that college admissions process and thinking about different schools and looking to apply this coming fall? Lily, do you want to start and then we'll go, or we can start with Jared either way.
Okay. I've got one blurb. If the right choice isn't obvious, there's no wrong choice. That's the best thing. Because when I was looking at schools, I was between like UGA, Georgia Tech, and Tulane. And I was sort of like all between them. And when I was looking at everything involved and the numbers and what the opportunities would be, Georgia Tech just made the most sense. There was just no reason for me to not go there. I literally chose to do research on Georgia Tech last. I was like refusing. I was putting off the work and the effort to research Georgia Tech because I refused. I was like, I know I'm going to go there in the back of my head. I'm going to look at the other two. Man, these look great. Georgia Tech just made the most sense. So that's what I'll say. If you're down to two of them and you're just back and forth and you don't really know what to do, if the right choice is obvious, there's no wrong choice and it's going to turn out great. And if you have to like this is a trick that I use. If you flip a coin and you get a side, if you feel regret about it, you choose the other option and that's it. Make your decision and I know you'll be happy about it. And good luck to you guys.
Yeah, I agree with Jared wholeheartedly. I went on a lot of college tours when I was a high school junior and senior, and especially ones that I'd been looking at since, you know, I was in elementary school, like this is going to be my dream school. And I'd step on campus and be like, oh, no, maybe not, I don't know. So now that you are a junior or senior and you're looking more at it more seriously, you can think more about what your options are. So at first I was like, I'm gonna go to California, it's beautiful. But you know, once you're getting older and you're like older in high school, you know, it doesn't just have to be beautiful. It has to be what helping you get to what you want in the future. So I was able to choose Georgia Tech because it had the sports I wanted, it had the Greek life I wanted, it had the city I wanted, the academics I wanted, just the list goes on. So as Jared said, it just made the most sense. But also I truly believe that wherever you go to college, like if you don't get into what you think is your dream school, you can make any school your dream school. Like when I came here, as I said, I was super shy. I didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't know if I was going to join clubs, sorority. I don't know. But then got here, made friends, was able to slowly, you know, join the community that I wanted to join, and fell in love with it. So I don't think putting pressure on any type of dream school or anything like that is the way to go, because you can definitely find ways to be happy anywhere.
Amazing advice. Wow. I want to give us a chance to wrap up for some closing words. So I want to close with the question if everyone could share their favorite thing about Georgia Tech that they would like to leave with everyone before we close out. I'll give you a minute to think about it, but if anyone's ready and wants to jump in, that'd be great.
I'll go first because I will kind of close the loop of how we started. But it really, my favorite thing is our motto of progress and service. And it might sound a little cliche, but really like it is so true to everything that we do and kind of who we are, and really permeates every area of campus, right? Shane is talking about the Tikkun Olam makers, and that is a perfect example of how progress and service is part of the Jewish community on campus. When thinking about research and all of the different areas, when thinking about admission and how we can improve the work that we do, it all comes back to our motto of progress and service.
Amazing, thank you. Lily, are you ready? I can just call on people, yeah.
I was literally about to unmute right when you started talking. So I really love Georgia Tech. It's really hard to pinpoint one thing, but if I had to, it would probably be how much fun I can have while being here, but while also preparing so well for my future. So while doing research, internships, hard classes, it's really the exact college experience that I pictured for myself. And I didn't know that it would be possible to combine like world-class academics and opportunities that you have here, but also just fun, like exactly what you want to do while you're, you know, spending your 4 or 5, however many years you want to spend here. So yeah, I think that would be it.
I think Lily touched on, oh, sorry, Shayna.
No.
Okay. I think Lily actually just briefly touched on something that is my favorite part of Georgia Tech when she said that however long you want to be here, 4 or 5 years. There is so much flexibility in you taking your own path at Georgia Tech, which I think is probably my favorite thing that we have here. I have friends who are like, who finished in 3 years and friends who stayed for 6. Like there's really every single side of the spectrum, and you will meet people who are in different parts of that. So finding your own path and taking your time and being able to tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to take a semester off and work, which is what I'm trying to do next spring, maybe. And just having the flexibility to take your own path and the way that they kind of promote that, whether you're in, you know, a major that requires a little bit less credit hours or something that's a bit crazy, like with engineering programs or like pre-med and mixed programs we have here too. They really want you to take those opportunities and just take it your own way and take your own path. So I think that's probably my favorite part for sure.
I'll close it out. I have really loved getting to know everyone in the Georgia Tech community, because even though, you know, this is an amazing school and the people here are really smart and really committed to their academics, no one just wakes up in the morning and goes to class and that's the end of their day. People here really want to be involved, whether it's through clubs or just through making really meaningful relationships and having deep conversations. So I really do feel like this is an amazing community where you can grow so much inside the classroom, but there's so much to learn about yourself outside the classroom as well. And that's really because of the amazing community of students, staff, faculty that exist here at Georgia Tech.
Incredible. All this makes me want to go to Georgia Tech. It's incredible. What a great school. Thank you all so much to our panelists for your time and for being here tonight and sharing all about Georgia Tech and everything we need to know. We're going to send a follow-up email with more information about how you can get in touch with admissions and Hillel as well if you'd like any more information. And thank you everyone for joining us today for this session. Really spending the time in your evening, or if you're watching this on demand, to really take that time to learn about different schools is so useful. So we're going to send out a survey afterwards as well in an email that will be there for you to give us some information about what you feel about the sessions and the virtual college road trip. So wanted to give a shout out to fill that out if you have a minute. And also, if you are interested in more virtual college tours, you can visit roadtriptocollege.org for all of our upcoming virtual college tours of so many different campuses happening throughout the month of June. So we hope to see you on the rest of our virtual college road trip. Thank you again to our panelists and have a great night. Bye, everyone.